Hello and welcome to the Zoom Effects coverage of the back nine of the 2020 Tilleys Open Round 1. If you haven't already watched the front nine, jump over and check that out. Again, for this video we have easy commentary. My name is Zach.
And I'm Eli. Let's take a look at the players. We have Cam Benak shooting -4, Andrew Marwede with a hot -7 start, Jeff with a -5, and Kyle with a -3. So let's jump right in.
So, starting out the back nine, we have a bomb. Hole 10, par 3, 500 feet. There's tons of elevation change on this hole, and a typical play players will do is throw a flex backhand or a forehand just to get out the gap and try to get pin high.
This is a tough hole. Taking a par is totally fine on this hole. We're going to see Andrew first. Like Zach said, a forehand is pretty good play. It's a pretty safe play. Andrew actually crushes too long, which is not a very common accident, but long throwers have that accident. Jeff ripping one beautifully, almost too beautifully. He goes past the basket on a 500-foot hole.
You do not see that often.
And now Kyle with a beautiful kick off the tree. I don't know if you saw that, but that perfectly redirected. And ladies and gentlemen, that does not happen often. You are blessed to see something very special. We got Cam. And that's a good looking shot. That's pretty much all you ask for as well. Andrew's approach, swinging it wide, little bit long, but you know he's got those putts.
Yeah, that's right at the circle's edge.
Cam just a bit outside. This is for Andrew's par save, and taps it in like a 10-footer. That is a very good birdie from Kyle. Definitely getting a stroke or two on all the players here.
Now moving on to hole 11. It's a par 3, 395 feet. A lot of players will opt for the sweeping hyzer play and try to nestle it up near the basket.
The hyzer flip is a very beautiful shot in my opinion. Let's see if Kyle can do it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a hyzer flip to perfection. You know, that's so good. We are going to have a follow flight.
This is the first ever follow flight on the Zoom Effects channel.
Surprise. Second, we got Andrew. Taking a little bit higher route.
That looks good.
And oh my goodness, that's even better than Kyle's. Which means
You gotta have the follow flight.
the double follow flight, ladies and gentlemen. Put your seatbelts on, because we've done it. And look at those two beautiful shots. Parked. Now we got Jeff. Often it's hard to follow two beautiful shots like that, but he does it pretty well actually.
Yep, that's gonna be right around circled edge.
Cam. Just kind of an early release from Cam. I know he can park this hole. Here's him for a birdie from probably 70 feet, and that's just a bit short. Jeff tapping in his birdie.
Another birdie for Kyle Williams.
And Andrew. That's 3 birdies and 1 par. Now the par.
And moving on to hole 12, also a par 3, 380 feet, 83 feet. It plays slightly uphill, so it plays more like 400, maybe a little more.
This is a crush. We got Kyle up first. And that's a nice flight.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to have a pretty big arm to get up here because, like Zach said, it's 400 plus feet, really, accounting for elevation. But Andrew definitely has that. He just turns it over a bit and gets a pretty nice little kick, actually, off that tree. Jeff smashing one just a little low. Good speed, but...
That's going to be a similar spot to Andrew.
And Cam. All these guys kind of turning over their discs. You just don't want to be in the trees. So, as long as you can have a clear approach to the basket, that's pretty good.
And this shot does actually not do justice to the line that Jeff took here. That had to miss quite a few trees to get to that spot.
Very well executed. Forehand touch approach. And just a bit outside for Andrew. Kyle. Ooh. Tickled some of the chains, but
The nose was over the rim on that shot.
not enough. We're going to have what looks like to be a star par. Again, this is one of the harder holes to get birdie, so that's a pretty typical result.
And now, to follow up a pretty hard hole, we have one of the most birdied holes on the course. Hole 13, par 3, 259. A pretty short hole. It's nice and straight, and you don't have any danger of going long.
Straight shot is one of the hardest shots, but it's also one of the most important. And Kyle has that shot. And that's why he's 1,000 rated. Andrew throwing a forehand, which is not a common play. But again, when you have that kind of touch, you go ahead and throw whatever you want to throw.
And that's just a little turned over for Jeff, but that'll be an easy par save.
And then finally Cam. Doesn't quite flip, but gets a good little skip on that hill.
Yeah, I had a little anti-skip there.
I believe that's Jeff. And he's made quite a few long putts, just misses that one. Cam for his birdie. Kyle. And Andrew.
Moving on to hole 14. It's a par 4, the only one on the course. Right off the bat, you have a little gap to get through, but once you're through, it's decision time. For your upshot, you have either a forehand or backhand approach shot, and behind that, the basket is nestled up at the top of this hill.
This is a pretty birdieable par 4 if you have a good drive. Kyle cuts it about as close as you can, but is in a good position for that left gap. Again, Andrew going with an unconventional shot, but thrown to absolute perfection.
Yeah, anything that makes it into that clearing and has an open look at those two gaps is exactly what you want.
It was unconventional until Andrew Marwede threw it, and now it's conventional. Cam, those trees is not really a spot you want to be, but I guess we'll have to see where his footing is. Jeff with a similar shot to Kyle, but that's a little bit too tight. And Cam looks like he pulls out a little bit.
Jeff here was forced to go with that backhand route and just has it sawed off a little early.
Andrew lining up the forehand route, doing forehand. Coming in hot, but that's a putt. That's a good putt. Kyle a little bit more comfortable with the backhand, and we can see why. I believe that's a putter from Jeff, but he has that shot dialed in. That is a life-saving shot right there. As Cam hits one of the trees and knocks him even further down. Just short. That was for his par. No fear. Got all these guys tapping out. Cam unfortunately taking a bogey, but it does happen.
On to hole 15, it's a par 3, 324 feet. The main feature of this hole is throwing over a giant valley and trying to land on the other side, near the basket.
The trees on the right are just absolutely jail. You can see some big scores. So let's see if these guys can avoid it. Kyle goes into the trees, but not too deep. Andrew.
The forehand is a great shot for this hole because it matches the slope of the hill coming in.
And that's a pretty good shot. That's pin high. Cam with his forehand. And, ooh, little help from that stump. Kyle coming out of those woods. Now this is also a decision because if you hit metal and start rolling, you might find yourself on the next tee pad because rollaways are very common. But Jeff seems to avoid that and take his par. Cam for a good birdie, and Andrew.
Moving on to hole 16, par 3, 332 feet. It's a little narrow off the tee, but the key is really to get your disc to fade or skip at the right time here so that it curls up nicely under the basket.
We actually just had a tree that fell recently, as you can see, kind of that angled tree across the fairway. Kind of gets in your head and maybe throw your shot a little bit differently than you used to, but Andrew there just cuts it off a little early. Cam nails that tree. Very common to hit. And Kyle, that was looking really good, but kind of a unfortunate stump right there. And Jeff, that's not what you want to do. This is going to be hard. It's a friendly little roll, but that's still going to be about 80 feet.
Cam has a nice recovery shot there.
Take a nice little skip. Andrew with that flex putt.
And that was for Jeff's par right there.
For Cam's par. Oof. Just a bit short. That's a good putt for Jeff's bogey. So we're going to have 2 pars and 2 bogeys.
Hole 17, par 3, 391 feet. A lot of players opt for a huge forehand if they have it, and basically try to land anywhere near these guardian trees.
Now watch this. Boom. That is a very good shot. If you got that big of a forehand, that is a serious advantage on this hole. Kyle's going with his backhand and just doesn't turn enough, just keeps sailing probably 400 and something feet, but not quite the right direction.
Here we take a look at Cam's smooth forehand again.
With barely any run up and just a little flick of his wrist. Throwing it straight is not a bad play either, because you have a direct look at the basket, as you can see here. Pump one up close and take your par. Kyle just kind of in trouble in those trees.
Gives it a great bid though.
And Cam for his birdie. Ooh. Now Andrew with just such an exceptional drive. Again, that is getting strokes on the field. 17 is often played for a par, and if you get a birdie, you're doing something right.
The back 9 is actually the harder 9 on this course, and that is Andrew's 4th birdie.
That's no bogeys. Hole 18, 412. This is quite the finishing hole. Kind of like 17, you want to avoid a bogey at all costs because it's easy to get one. And again, if you have a forehand, that is the play.
And Andrew shows us a great drive here. It's actually going to go past the basket, and you just don't see that often at all.
Cam, and that's not a mistake you want to make. And Jeff, kind of uncharacteristic. Kyle looks to be pretty good. Just fading a little bit.
And it stays in bounds. That's a good thing.
Right in the creek. And it's just a very hard hole, as we can see here.
And this is actually Cam's 3rd shot.
So that was for his par, actually. Now Jeff, ooh, just flashes the chains.
And here we see Kyle with a foot in the water and also a foot in the door for lead card 2nd round.
Ooh. Floats it up nicely. Cam, this is for bogey, and just sails it. Andrew with a putt for birdie on 18. Good crowd watching him too, and that's hard to watch, and you can tell he's frustrated. Cam tapping in for his double bogey. Jeff for his bogey.
And with that, the rest of the card will tap in their discs.
Kyle tapping in and walking off with a big smile on his face, as were the rest of the guys on the card. This was a great card to watch. Let's check out the scores. Andrew Marwede, Nick Gill, 12 down. That is a new course record. 1068 rated round. And you saw it here first on the Zoom effect. We also got DW Haas, Reed Friskira, Kyle Williams. All these guys shooting well. And congrats on a good first round.
And we'd like to take this time to thank Northwoods Disc Chuckers, especially Mark, for letting us film this tournament. We'd also like to thank the MPO lead card for putting on a great round and letting us film. And they were super cool about it all. And so, yeah, thanks to you guys. Until next time, Zoom out.